One thing you did mention was, kind of in passing almost, Craig Sword as starting point guard. Have you made that decision already?
No, I haven't made that decision, but it's really only two options. It's either going to be Craig Sword or Trevante Bloodman be the starting point guard. Now, ultimately, which guy ends up being the starting point guard and when guy is the backup, I don't think really matters because they're both going to play a lot.
Okay, so don't read too much into that, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. You talked about Craig a couple of weeks ago and the progress he's making with the arrest and everything, but what have you seen from him even since then in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I haven't been around him the past couple of weeks because school is over with, so
Oh,
we
that's
went
true.
back home to Montgomery and things like that. But, he's a kid that's been progressing for us. We had him being a point guard anyway at the beginning because we wanted to make sure we shore up to his ball handling. And so it kind of worked out that he is going to play that position for us as far as all our individual workout. And
Yeah.
he's a kid that's really, really talented. The one thing about him is pressure as far as doesn't bother him because he breaks that pressure with his ability to go by people and make plays.
I know Jacoby just had his surgery. What's now the next step for him in the rehab? What's the first few things he's got to worry about?
He's in the hands of our trainer, Scotty Johnson, who I think does a tremendous job, and it's going to be a long road back for him. The thing he has to do is just take baby steps, and I think one of the best benefits that he's going to have is that the fact that he can go talk to Jalen Steele about the process. And Jalen Steele, from everybody I talked to as far as the medical staff around Mississippi State, handled that process better than anybody they've ever been around as far as doing what he's supposed to do, going in, getting his rehab, attacking that, coming in multiple times and things like that. So if he goes and talks to Jalen and attacks it the same way Jalen did, then he'll be fine.
You said he could possibly play the last month, but at that point you're taking his red shirt off of him. Just like you said, you just don't think it'd be fair to him to do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to a kid to come back for our selfish reasons as a coaching staff. We've taken away 3 months of playing time from him for him to come back and play 1 month. I don't know if that's fair to the kid. Now, we ultimately haven't made that decision because he may be able to come back and play a month. We don't know that yet until he goes through the rehab.
Okay. You look at some of the struggles and things you're going to face. You talked about that first game at Troy. You're going to have to, survive that initial rush they might make. But just looking at the season and what y'all might face, how do you prepare a bunch of young guys just mentally and psychologically to deal with that the right way?
Well, I think you have to, handle tasks. I think if you start talking about things in totality, it becomes too encompassing for them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to break things down by tasks. We're going to talk about hey, this is what we're doing offensively. This is what we're doing defensively. This is what we're doing on out-of-bounds plays. This is what we're doing, and start to piece together as a whole, because I think if you start looking at it as a whole, then you got problems. So I'm not even worried about games, schedule, and things like that. I'm doing it as far as what I'm doing, but I'm not addressing it with the team. We're going to take it by game mentality.
When you look at some of what you're asking some of these guys to do, like Wendell to be more of a scorer, Craig to run the point, Colin to keep guys off the boards, you kind of asking guys to do things maybe they haven't done much. How big a challenge is that? Is it like you're trying to change their stripes, or just trying to bring something out of them that you think's in there?
Well, I'm two things. One is I'm telling them what they need to do necessary for them to play.
Right.
First and foremost, I'm trying to help them. I always tell them I'm very open and honest about it. You're going to have to be able to do these things, or you're going to have to be able to change this about your game if you want to be successful in my program. And so I think I'm doing them a service by making sure I'm telling them what my expectations are for them.
Right.
And I think the second thing is I'm doing whatever it is for the team to win,
Yeah.
And so this may how you feel about your game, but in order for the team to win, this is what you're going to have to do.
Coach, this is kind of something for down the road. I mean, you'll play a game in Jackson this year, but you're open to playing, and MSU's done this before, played in Tupelo. You're talking about that and just have been open to that.
Yeah, very open to it. I think this is a tremendous venue. I think the Tupelo community gets behind Mississippi State basketball, and if we can do something as far as bringing the game to Tupelo, we're really going to investigate that process and see if we can get it done. It may not happen the next season, but it can happen in 2 seasons. But I'm thinking about maybe just alternating between Jackson and Tupelo at this point in time.